Time now for our Seen and Unseen segment, where we expose what's really going on behind the big cultural stories of the day. And here now to fill us in is Fox News contributor and best-selling author Raymond Arroyo. All right, Raymond, let's start with this columnist for the Washington Post, Ruth Marcus, who used to just focus on politics and I think the court a little bit. And now she wrote a column about, you know, if she had a Down syndrome child, she would have aborted the child.
Right. Well, the title was, I would have aborted a fetus with Down syndrome. Women need the right, which is terrifying. But she goes in and she talks about when she had 2 pregnancies and she took the Down syndrome test. And then she writes of her own pregnancies, I'm going to be blunt here. That was not the child I wanted, she said, if it had been positive. That was not the child or the choice I would have made. You can call me selfish or worse, but I am in good company. That evidence is clear that most women confronted with the same unhappy alternative would make the same decision. As you can imagine, people are terrified and were horrified when they read that.
So all these kids who are amazing angels, who are kids with Down syndrome, and who've changed families, and it can be, it is really challenging. How do they feel after reading that?
Well, the horrifying thing, that was not the child I wanted. What other children don't you like, Ruth? I mean, what other qualities or genetic abnormalities, which we all have, don't you like? And remember now...
What if you screen for cancer? You know, I had breast cancer. You screen for cancer. Oh, no, we don't want that one.
Well, you can screen for eye color, you can screen for sex, you can screen for hair color. What if you don't like those attributes of a child?
How about future political designation? Would that?
Well, I don't know if they can test that one yet. Wonder what you would have turned out.
That's coming. Keep her out.
You mentioned it a moment ago.
Yeah.
Anyone who spent time around children with Downs, they have such a capacity for love and empathy. Ruth Marcus needs to spend a little more time with them. She might learn something, a more happy alternative.
Now, what's going on? The 5-year anniversary of Pope Francis and the white smoke and all that. I remember you were
on a competing network.
We won't mention, but you were, and I remember your face. You were kind of surprised.
Yes, I was.
Anyway, so what's going on with this PR campaign that seems to be launched by the Vatican 5 years later?
Well, as you're seeing, this is footage from a new documentary called Pope Francis, A Man of His Word. Here's what most people don't know.
Do you have to say that? You're the Pope, a man of his word.
Well,
what?
Wim Wenders, who's an Academy Award-nominated documentarian, he was recruited to do this by the Vatican. Okay? Monsignor Dario Vigano, he runs the communications department. Why is the Vatican funding a film about their boss? But they are. And it's a puppy. The Pope looks into the camera, talks about his ecological concerns, his concerns for the poor. You see the touchy-feely video here. The question is, why 5 years later? Some are saying this is an effort to insulate the Pope and protect him from criticism, which he has encountered over the last 5 years because of the changes to church teaching, practice, and doctrine, and that's a big concern for some.
When Benedict and John Paul wrote their big biographies, their big books, those things are huge bestsellers. What happened to this Pope moving books? This Pope, are they moving a lot of books?
He has not. I'm told he has not had a New York Times bestseller yet. And now
the Vatican... That's a little odd, don't you think?
Well, the Vatican is embroiled now in its own difficulty today. The news came out, and this is a big blunder, black eye for the Vatican. There was a letter they released. We'll put a picture of it up. From Pope Benedict affirming that Pope Francis and he are in continuity, internal continuity.
Oh, so no doctrine is changing. Don't worry. There's no change coming.
But see that letter they released? Yeah. They smudged out the end of it so you couldn't read what was next. What people don't realize is those 11 books of theology that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, this was designed to bolster Pope Francis's theological heft. And here you have Pope Benedict saying, we are in continuity. Turns out, if you read the rest of the letter, which no one could read until today, it said, I don't have time to read the book, so I really can't pass judgment on his theological virtues. Turns out they completely misrepresented what Pope Benedict said.
Wait a second. Well, Raymond, for all the people watching out there who are, you're not Catholic, and you're like, well, Vatican, what is this all about? You know, the Da Vinci Code stuff. But you have...
Not that bad. There's no albinos running around.
You have 2 popes, okay? You can't have 2 popes.
Well,
I know we had it
one has resigned and retired.
But that was always going to cause a problem. I mean, that's like you're dealing with 2 popes.
It doesn't cause a problem if you don't need the former pope to vouch for you. And apparently now the Vatican feels it would help Pope Francis.
All right, can I get in a separate topic that we're going to do this? I'm going to do this in the next segment, but I want your view on this before Hollywood is now trying to cleanse itself of Harvey Weinstein completely, so they're doing these inclusion riders in contracts, in their production contracts. They have to represent people of all backgrounds in films, in front of the camera, behind the camera. So people with disabilities, people from different ethnicities, different gender.
So I'll be looking for albino popes and people with receding hairlines.
But Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I'm going to be talking about it. But do you think this is going to really change filmmaking for the better?
No, this is a CYA move. But you'll get into it next time.
I just had to get your take on that.
We'll discuss it later.